The history of mankind is filled with mysteries we still can't explain, and as Aristotle once said, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. It's these mysteries that push us to explore, question, and keep searching for answers. We've walked on the moon, ventured far beyond our solar system, and built computers smarter than humans. But even with all our knowledge and technology, some of history's greatest secrets remain completely unsolved. If you think the world today is full of strange and unexplained things, just wait until you see the mind-blowing mysteries our ancient ancestors left behind on this giant planet we call home. Number 15. Manna from heaven. The Bible has never been the easiest book to match with archaeology. For centuries, historians and researchers have debated how much of its history reflects real events and how much belongs to faith and tradition. One passage that continues to puzzle both sides appears in the book of Exodus, during the 40 years that Moses led the Israelites across the harsh wilderness of the Sinai Peninsula. Surviving in such an unforgiving landscape seems impossible, but the Bible offers a simple answer. Every morning, the ground was said to be covered with a strange white wax-like substance called manna, which the people gathered and ate. It was nourishing, plentiful, safe to eat, and unlike anything recognized by modern science. Over the centuries, scholars have suggested everything from tree resin to desert lichens and insect secretions, but none fully matches the biblical description. Perhaps the most intriguing detail is that the word manna itself literally means, "What is it?" Even its earliest witnesses never claimed to know. Number 14. Bonkuklu Tarlug Bekli Tepe in Turkey is very well known as the world's oldest monumental ceremonial site, a place that forced archaeologists to rethink the origins of civilization. Rising from the hills of southeastern Anatolia, its massive stone pillars have stood for more than 11,000 years, and for decades many believed nothing comparable existed from an earlier age. Then, another ancient settlement quietly entered the conversation. Its name is Bonkuklu Tarla, meaning beaded field, and some archaeologists now believe it may be even older. Accidentally rediscovered in 2008 during work connected to the Ilsu Dam project, excavations officially began in 2012, with Dr. Ergül Koda leading major investigations from 2017 onward. Researchers uncovered communal buildings resembling temples, an advanced drainage system, stone tools, beads, and evidence of several occupation phases dating back to around 10,000 BC. Whether Bonkuklu Tarla truly predates Bekli Tepe is still being debated. But every new discovery suggests that humanity's earliest chapter may be even older than anyone once believed. Number 13. The fall of the Minoans. The story of the Minoans usually brings to mind the legend of Theseus and the Minotaur. Yet the greatest mystery surrounding this civilization has nothing to do with mythology. It is the question of how such a powerful society simply disappeared. Living on the island of Crete, the Minoans built magnificent palaces, dominated Mediterranean trade, and flourished for centuries. Then, around 1600 BC, the nearby island of Thera was torn apart by one of history's most violent volcanic eruptions. Many assumed that catastrophe ended the Minoans overnight, but archaeology tells a different story. Clay tablets and other discoveries reveal that the civilization survived for roughly another 50 years before finally collapsing. That delay has puzzled historians ever since. Some think volcanic ash poisoned farmland and weakened the economy over time. Others argue the disaster left Crete vulnerable to invading Mycenaean Greeks, who eventually seized control. Whatever truly happened during those final decades, the last chapter of Minoan civilization remains frustratingly incomplete. And it's just one vanished civilization. Number 12. Vimana. Anti-gravity machines. Well, how about real flying palaces? If ancient civilizations had no knowledge of aircraft, why did they leave behind stories describing machines that sound surprisingly advanced? Ancient Sanskrit texts, including the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, speak of mysterious aerial vehicles known as vimanas. Far from ordinary chariots, these machines are described as carrying entire palaces through the sky, traveling enormous distances, changing direction with ease, and producing blinding flashes capable of devastating entire cities. Some passages even mention journeys beyond the earth, leading many people to wonder whether these accounts preserved forgotten technology or simply reflected symbolic storytelling. Mainstream historians generally interpret vimanas as mythological vehicles tied to Hindu cosmology rather than real machines. Even so, the descriptions continue attracting attention because of their unusual level of detail. No archaeological discovery has ever confirmed that such craft physically existed, but the idea has survived for thousands of years. Was it an ancient memory or religious symbolism? Number 11. The master of animals. Why would ancient people separated by thousands of miles keep carving exactly the same mysterious figure? For more than 3,000 years, civilizations across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East repeatedly portrayed what historians now call the master of animals. The image almost always shows a man, and sometimes a woman, standing between two powerful creatures while gripping them with both hands as a sign of complete control. The earliest known example comes from a 5,000-year-old seal discovered at Uruk in ancient Mesopotamia, where the figure holds two goats. Centuries later, the same design surfaced on Indus Valley seals, Scythian ornaments, Bronze Age Mongolian petroglyphs, Roman bronze vessels, and even the grave goods of royal women buried in ancient Afghanistan. Two of its best-known appearances are found on Egypt's Gebel el Arak knife, dating to around 3400 BC, and Denmark's Gundestrup cauldron from about 100 BC. Most scholars connect the symbol with Gilgamesh, but nobody on Earth can explain how one mysterious image conquered so much of the ancient world. Number 10. The perplexing King's Vault. On October 16, 1817, Italian explorer Giovanni Battista Belzoni stepped into KV-17, the tomb of Pharaoh Seti I, deep within Egypt's Valley of the Kings. Even today, it remains the longest royal tomb ever found there, stretching nearly 137 meters through solid limestone. Every corridor is covered with beautifully preserved scenes from sacred funerary texts, including the Amduat and the Book of Gates, carefully guiding the king through the afterlife. Yet one section has puzzled historians ever since. Near the deepest part of the complex stood a chamber unlike every room before it. Its walls carried no paintings, no inscriptions, and no familiar religious imagery, despite the rest of the tomb being filled from floor to ceiling with carefully planned decoration. Curiously, Belzoni's detailed 1820 account of the excavation never mentioned that final chamber at all. During the 1960s, Egyptian authorities restricted access to the lower passages, officially citing conservation concerns. Whether that silent room was unfinished, deliberately left untouched, or meant for another purpose remains one of Egypt's enduring mysteries. Now, let's head over to number 9, Petar Blagojevi well. Almost every culture around the world has its own version of vampires in its folklore. But the stories most people recognize began in Eastern Europe. Few are more chilling than the case of Petar Blagojevi, a Serbian villager born in 1662, whose death in 1725 transformed the quiet village of Kisiljevo into the center of one of history's first documented vampire panics. Within just 8 days of his burial, 9 villagers died after suffering sudden illnesses, each claiming on their deathbeds that Blagojevi had attacked them during the night. His frightened widow even insisted her late husband had returned home asking for his shoes before she fled the village forever. Alarmed residents persuaded local official Cameralprovisor Frombald to witness the exhumation. His report described a body that showed little decay, fresh blood around the mouth, and what appeared to be newly grown hair and nails. The account spread across Europe, inspiring decades of vampire hysteria, while modern science attributes those disturbing signs to perfectly natural stages of human decomposition. So, was it actually real? Number 8. Silphium, the magical plant. The Romans once possessed something they believed was nothing short of miraculous. It was called silphium, and according to countless ancient writers, there seemed to be almost nothing it couldn't do. It was most famous as both a powerful contraceptive and an aphrodisiac. But that was only the beginning. People also praised it as a medicine for numerous illnesses, mixed it into perfumes, and even used it to flavor food because of its pleasant taste. The plant became so treasured that poets celebrated it in verse, while many believed it had been sent to humanity by Apollo himself. In the prosperous North African city of Cyrene, silphium was so valuable that its image appeared on local coins and supported much of the city's economy. Historians know it came from a plant whose prized resin was carefully harvested. Yet nobody can say with certainty which plant it actually was. Ironically, the Romans may have loved silphium so much that they harvested it into extinction, taking its identity with it forever. Well, what if it's still out there? Number 7. So, who was Robin Hood? Everyone knows the name Robin Hood, the legendary outlaw who robbed the rich and helped the poor. But the greatest mystery is whether such a man ever existed at all. Historians have spent centuries searching through medieval records only to uncover one possible candidate after another. Among the strongest is Robert Hod of Wakefield, a Yorkshire fugitive also recorded as Hobhod, but he is far from the only suspect. The investigation becomes even more tangled, because Robin Hood gradually became a common nickname for outlaws rather than one specific individual. As the legend spread, storytellers introduced famous figures such as Prince John and the Sheriff of Nottingham, blending history with folklore until separating fact from fiction became almost impossible. Somewhere beneath those countless retellings may have lived a real man whose story inspired generations. Or perhaps Robin Hood was never one person at all, but a legend pieced together from the lives of many forgotten outlaws. Number 6. The Tarim mummies. The discovery itself was incredible. But what truly left archaeologists speechless was who these ancient people appeared to be. During excavations in China's Tarim Basin in the early 1990s, researchers uncovered remarkably preserved mummies dating back nearly 2,000 years. Instead of displaying features normally associated with ancient East Asia, many possessed blonde or light-colored hair, long noses, and distinctly European facial characteristics. The surprise deepened in 1993 when Professor Victor Mayer collected DNA samples that pointed toward European ancestry. Strangely, the discovery was not entirely without precedent. Ancient Chinese records written as early as the first millennium BC mention fair-skinned peoples known as the Bai, Uaci, and Tocharians, living far to the east of where historians expected them to be. Even so, those early accounts never explain how these communities arrived there or what became of them. Thousands of years later, the silent faces resting beneath the desert sands continue asking the same unanswered question: how did they end up so far from home? Number 5. The Cliff Shrine. When Henri Lotte began documenting the prehistoric paintings of Tassili n'Ajjer in 1956. His expedition transformed our understanding of the ancient Sahara. Working across the sandstone plateau of southeastern Algeria for nearly 2 years, his team carefully recorded more than 800 paintings from a landscape now recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, preserving artwork spanning almost 15,000 years. One discovery, however, slipped into the shadows. Lotte famously published the strange figure he nicknamed the Great Martian God. but members of his own expedition later recalled another section of the cliff that never appeared in his books or official drawings. Private correspondence written by two members of the team described towering painted figures unlike anything else they had seen during the expedition. Shortly afterward, Lotte ordered the work to stop, and the group left that section unexplored. Since Algeria's independence in 1962, independent research in parts of the Upper Plateau has remained heavily restricted. Whatever persuaded Lotte to remain silent has never been fully explained. Number 4. The disappearance of the Indus Valley Civilization. The Indus Valley Civilization was once among the greatest societies on Earth, yet its final chapter remains one of history's deepest mysteries. At its height, this Bronze Age civilization stretched from western India into Afghanistan, supporting a population estimated at more than 5 million people. Its cities displayed an astonishing level of planning, with carefully laid streets, sophisticated sewage systems, public baths, and standards of cleanliness that many later civilizations never achieved. Yet one detail makes its disappearance even more puzzling. Archaeologists have uncovered remarkably little evidence of large armies, widespread warfare, slavery, or the violent destruction that usually accompanies the collapse of an empire. Instead, the cities gradually emptied, and their people faded from the historical record. Scholars have proposed climate change, shifting river systems, disease, economic decline, and migration. But none answers every question. One of humanity's most advanced civilizations simply slipped away, leaving magnificent cities behind while taking the truth of its disappearance with it forever. Number 3. The Karnak stones. Everyone has heard of Stonehenge, but far fewer people know about the Karnak stones in northwestern France. Stretching for 12 kilometers across Brittany, this immense collection of around 3,000 standing stones forms one of the largest prehistoric monuments ever assembled. Their careful alignment immediately raises a question. Who had the knowledge, determination, and purpose to arrange so many enormous stones with such precision thousands of years ago? Local legend offers a colorful answer, claiming the wizard Merlin transformed an advancing Roman legion into stone. Archaeologists, however, have searched for explanations rooted in history. One proposal suggests the alignments may have served as an ancient system for tracking earthquakes, while others argue they marked ceremonial routes or astronomical observations. None has been universally accepted. Adding to the mystery, the identity of the Neolithic builders has disappeared from history altogether. Their voices have long fallen silent, but the rows of stone continue asking questions that nobody has answered with certainty. Number 2. The lost Roman legion. After the disastrous Battle of Carrhae in 53 BC, thousands of Roman soldiers were captured when the Parthians crushed the army of Marcus Licinius Crassus. Most disappeared from history, yet one remarkable theory suggests that a small group survived and wandered far beyond the Roman world. According to the idea, these former prisoners eventually reached the borders of Han China, where the historian Ban Gu described an unusual force of roughly 100 warriors fighting in a distinctive fish-scale formation. A tactic many believe closely resembled Roman military discipline. Building on those ancient accounts, an Oxford historian later proposed that the survivors founded a settlement called Lycian, a name sometimes linked to Rome in old Chinese records. The theory gained even more attention because some villagers possess green eyes, blonde hair, and traditions that have been compared to bullfighting. DNA studies have been carried out in search of answers, but no conclusive proof has ever confirmed whether Rome's missing legion truly reached the edge of ancient China. Now, let's end this with Number 1. The Triskelion ancient symbols are not only beautiful to look at, some seem to carry stories that time has refused to surrender. One of the oldest is the Triskelion, the famous triple spiral that has puzzled historians for centuries. Although many people associate it with Celtic culture, its roots stretch much further into the past. Some of the finest examples decorate Newgrange in Ireland, a monumental passage tomb completed around 3200 BC, long before Stonehenge reached its final form. But archaeologists have uncovered the same symbol on temples in Malta dating back at least another 1,000 years, making it older than the pyramids of Egypt. Ancient writers such as Plutarch believed the design represented the triangular shape of Sicily, while others have linked it to the sun, the cycle of life, or spiritual balance. None of those ideas has ever been proven. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.